Hello and welcome to another Win Daily Show. My name is Michael Raziel and I am pleased to announce that we're going to be talking some hockey today. Hockey is back. We have two of our resident hockey writers. Rich, how you doing today, man?
Not bad. Yourself?
I'm doing great. It's a good day to be alive. Allan, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Fantastic. Hockey's back, as you can tell. Allan might be from Canada. There's something about Win Daily and Canadians. I don't know. It's working for us, so we're going to roll with it, but I thought it was a little interesting when we first started here. So let's just roll right into it, boys. So we have the NHL coming back. We have this weird and wacky. I mean, essentially all they did, and I'm so grateful for this, they just gave us an extra round of the playoffs, in my opinion. We have these 24 teams, those top 8 in each, or the top 4 seeds in each conference. They're going to be playing just a seeding round, and then everyone below that is actually going to be playing essentially a play-in. It's a 5-game series between all 8 of those teams, so that's essentially just our extra round of playoffs. So I'm very, very excited for that, and it all starts up on Saturday, and we are all very excited. So, Allan, let's kick it to you. Who are some of the games that, well, actually, pause that for a second. How the hell does NHL DFS work? Because I have never.
Oh boy, that is a very complicated question, but
Okay.
definitely we can answer that. So it works a little bit differently for DraftKings and FanDuel. For FanDuel, you get 2 centers, 4 wingers, 2 defensemen, and a goalie, and you get, I believe it is $55,000 in salary, and then each player is attributed a price value, and then it just works like any other form of DFS where you have to mix and match in order to fit your squad in. And for DraftKings, it's similar. The difference is the point scheme changed dramatically this year. They added different point bonuses. So if your player gets a hat trick, they get a bonus. If your player gets more than 5 shots, they get a bonus. If they get more than 5 block shots, it's a bonus. So they completely changed the scoring system. I made an article early in the year which kind of clarified all of it. But yeah, there was a lot to take in. It's a lot different from last year. For them, it's a similar build, except one of the wingers turned into a utility player. So you can pick up another center. I think you can pick up another D as well. It's similar because the players become a little bit cheaper and your salary is $50,000. So going into Saturday, there's going to be 5 games. And I think the most important thing to recognize is that it's a little bit too far removed from the regular season that was shortened. So a lot of the momentum that usually plays a factor in determining which players are hot coming into games is now it's like starting from scratch from a new season, because a lot of these players, they didn't even really have rinks to go into. A lot of them were like legally not allowed to go play hockey. So all that momentum that was built up is now gone. And also a lot of players who are injured, like had long-term injuries, are now back. So I know, obviously, St. Louis, I think they got Vladimir Tarasenko back. I know Toronto got Ilya Mikheyev back. So it's just like integral core guys who were thought to be completely done for the season are now back, and guys that were laboring with injuries, because usually when you get into the playoffs, you have guys who are like nursing injuries. Now, none of that, it's all gone. Everyone's fully healthy, or should be fully healthy, and is ready to go. And also, nobody's playing at home except for Toronto and Edmonton. So a lot of it's really foreign to a lot of guys. So that also has to be taken into account. Nobody really has home ice advantage. So even though you might see, oh, Montreal, Boston's the home team, nobody's the home team. There's no fans. Exactly.
And it is fun. I mean, that's one of my favorite parts about hockey is like whenever one of these series end, like the Eastern Conference or Western Conference finals, it's like, oh yeah, these 5 dudes need to have their entire lower bodies repaired because he was just skating with like 3 broken ankles somehow. So that's always fun for whatever reason. Hockey players, they're just built differently, man. I respect the hell out of them. So let's talk a little bit about, as you said, like that is going to be something, right? That I feel like hockey is going to be the sport, in my opinion, at least outside of college football, that is going to absolutely be change the most with no fans, because you can feel it through the TV. Again, if you don't watch regular season hockey, that's fine. I don't watch that much regular season hockey anyway. Playoff hockey is another beast. It is by far the best. If you can get into game 7 double overtime, I'm sweating bullets sitting in my bed at 11:30 night watching that game. So I'm still going to be very excited. It's just unfortunately not going to quite be the same. I'm going to watch as much as I can, though, starting this Saturday. So, Allan, let's talk about it. That first game, we have the Rangers. So you have to say good things, because I don't think my girlfriend's watching, but she'd be a little angry if you said bad things about the Rangers. So
yeah, I don't think I'm going to say many bad things about the Rangers, to be honest. Here, they look like.
Here, I got you. Lundqvist is old and he's not good anymore. There, I already got it. You're good. You got nothing to worry about.
I don't think he's going to play. I think Shesterkin's going to play, and if that is the case, I think he's the only goalie that really stood out to me. One of the most annoying things about the Saturday slate is that there's not even really a good goalie. The only other one that really caught my eye was Hellebuck. So, Shesterkin, though, he is a rookie coming into the season. On FanDuel, he's still extremely cheap, sub 8,000, which is amazing for a goalie of his caliber. So for my GPPs, at least, he's going to be at the top of my list. That is if he plays. Carolina, they're more of a dark horse. They're a really weird team.
They're a bunch of jerks.
They are a bunch of jerks. That is their nickname. So you never really know how they're going to play. And one of the things is they don't really have a lot of top talent guys. Like they have Sebastian Aho and Teo Teravainen, but those aren't guys that are like your Connor McDavids, your Austin Matthews. They're not going to like be the headlines of an all-star game. They're really, really good players and they're going to make the all-star team, but they're not going to be your guys that are going to be like in the Hall of Fame, let's say. Mm-hmm. So what's special about them is their depth. Their depth goes really, really far down, and it is crazy how they get all these young kids who have so much potential, and they're able to fit right into the system, and they can do really, really well. And even their older players like Justin Williams, lots of potential. Justin Williams ended off the season really, really well, actually. So if you're looking for those value plays, there's one in particular when I was doing my research. His name's Geeky. He did really well in his first 2 games in the NHL. And then Justin Williams also did well in his last 4. So these are 2 guys. Obviously, the momentum doesn't really matter as much, but these are guys who are doing well in the season. And Geeky, I think he had a really good season in the AHL as well. So he could be one of those sneaky guys for you in a GPP if you need that separation. I don't think many people are like his picture is not even on FanDuel. So it's these off-radar guys that are going to end up paying off for you guys.
Yeah. And that's what we need, especially when we're getting to those bigger tournaments. We're going to have to make sure that we're doing a lot more than just playing chalk. Obviously, cash games are a little different. You want to build some bankroll, but come on, man. It's the first day hockey's back. Play a little.
Absolutely.
Play a little, right? So what are some of the other games that you're paying attention to on the slate? We have Blackhawks, Oilers, Panthers, Islanders. Rich, sorry, guess we'll let Rich talk a little bit about the Islanders, I guess.
Absolutely.
Canadians, Penguins, Jets, Flames. Is there another game on here?
I was actually nodding with Chicago, Edmonton.
I was going to say the same thing. So funnily enough, Chicago, their defensive depth is not really that great. And their goaltending, is even worse. Their starting goaltender is Corey Crawford, who had COVID. Even though he had a good exhibition game, you could question the intensity of those games. And also, if he doesn't end up playing, you're stuck with Malcolm Subban and Colin Delia. That sounds like the worst goalie tandem in the NHL this season. So considering how hot Edmonton is, they had the top 2 scorers in the league in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Cash games, I would go all in. Just take the hit, take Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Those guys are nasty on the power play. Even in the exhibition game, I think Connor McDavid had 2 shots and 2 goals. You just see the way this guy works with the puck. It's just a different beast. He's a different animal. And I really like the way they play, and their power play is like nearly unstoppable in my opinion. So I would definitely look to those 2 guys in a cash game format. And they obviously pair really well with some wingers as well. So if you need a cheaper winger to go with them because they are pretty expensive, I would look at like a Kyler Yamamoto or a Tyler Ennis. And for defense, I'd probably go Darnell Nurse.
Love it. Yeah, Chicago, they were the last team let in, if I'm not mistaken, and they were terrible this year. So it's we all kind of remember what Taves and Kane were like, I don't know, like 6 years ago. It's not quite the same anymore, guys. It's not quite the same anymore. They were incredible but not so much. And then at 4:00 we have Panthers Islanders. Rich, do you wanna talk about the Islanders? I mean, you're wearing the shirt.
I mean, here's the thing with the Islanders. The Islanders are just rarely ever a great DFS option, just because, they really play a defensive style. Most of their goals come on the counterattack. So they sit back, they wait. They usually get, half the shots their opponent does. So I think that'll be a good game. I think more something, to view than although Florida can give up their fair share of goals. So, I mean, it's a better spot than usual for them. So. But, I mean, when compared to Edmonton, as you're just talking about, I mean, they sort of pale by comparison, that's for sure.
Hammer the two hot guys in Edmonton. I think they'll figure it out, as you said, Allan. A lot of cash game plays there. Canadians Penguins, we got that in prime time, 8 o'clock NBC. It's awesome also that all of these games are just on NBC or NBCSN. I think that's going to be so perfect. Canadians Penguins. I know a lot of people are probably going to try and shove a lot of Penguins in because they're the Penguins. So
Yeah.
how do you is that a cash game play? Or are you fading them real hard in GPPs? What are we doing here?
So I'm actually looking more towards Pittsburgh's second line. So one of the core players that I was talking about where people were getting guys back from injury is Jake Gensel. Jake Gensel went down with an injury. I believe it was a shoulder injury midway through the season. Now he's fully healthy, so he's going back into the fold. But trying to squeeze him in with Sidney Crosby is just, it's not going to work for me, especially when there are more expensive guys on the slate who actually fit better. But if you are looking to use Pittsburgh, I would strongly recommend going for Pittsburgh too, especially on FanDuel. I think Brian Rust has been criminally underpriced throughout the entire season, and I don't think FanDuel's learned their lesson because I think he's around $5,000. So if you want that like middle of the road priced line, you're going to get Malkin, who's a little bit expensive, but Jason Zucker, I think you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck, and Rust is probably one of my favorite players on the slate. So even going for him as a one-off, I don't think is a bad idea.
I love it. Good stuff. There we go. I'm loving this information, Allan. This is fantastic. Last game on the slate, 10:30 on the East Coast over here. We got Jets and Flames. Well, that's cool. They let the two Canadian teams play each other. That's pretty nice. Allan, you're a resident Canadian here. Talk to me about the Jets and the Flames a little bit.
So this is a really good matchup. I think the Flames also, even though they have pretty good defensive depth with, I think Hamonic is even pulled himself out of the season, but they're going to be okay because of their really good depth. I think Giordano's really going to hold down the fort. They have Noah Hannafin, and they have who are some of their other guys? They have Rasmus Anderson. So they have some really good guys in the back end, but their goaltending is not great. I think that Big Save Dave is turning out to let a few by him. So he's not necessarily a great option, and Winnipeg is just a really high scoring team, and their depth isn't really that fantastic either past the third line. I think Kopp is their only really good depth guy. So looking at them, all of their production is from those top two lines. So if you're looking to go for cash, I would go for Winnipeg 1 because you get all their star players. I think right now it says that Scheifele, Connor, and Line are on that line, and then on the second line you get Ehlers and Wheeler. So I think Ehlers and Wheeler, those guys are really sneaky as well. So if you're looking for a GPP play, those guys might be the way to go. But if I'm looking at that game, I would really only touch Winnipeg 1.
Not playing with the Flames at all. No Johnny Hockey.
Definitely not the top line. I was looking at that the Flames second line because they also have a good production for their price, but the top line's just been way too underwhelming. Maybe Elias Lindholm is a one-off, but I really have not been seeing what I want to see out of Monahan or Gaudreau. But also from Winnipeg's defenseman, Neil Pionk, he works well as a stack with Winnipeg 1, and he works well as a one-off as well. The guy's he gets a crazy amount of points. He's really, really involved in the game, and I think he's on the top power play, so he really gets involved in there.
Love it. That is some good stuff from Saturday. So a couple things of note. Not playing the Islanders, hammer the Oilers, and the Oilies, I think, as they like to say, Chance the Rapper. Grab the Rangers goaltender, and for depth, we can go to Carolina. We can also go to the Jets, and we can go to the second line of the Penguins. Did I get all that? That was pretty much everything, right?
That was everything.
Look at I'm paying attention. I promise I don't watch that much hockey, but I pay attention because when it comes to the playoffs, I like to know what the heck's going on a little bit. So let's hop over. Allan, thank you very much for that. We appreciate you. Allan's going to be writing some articles for us during this restart / playoffs. This first week of the playoffs is going to be weird, but I'm 100% and I cannot freaking wait. So moving over to Sunday, got another 5 games. Got the Coyotes somehow again, or I don't get it. Coyotes, Predators, Flyers, Bruins, Blues, Avs, Blue Jackets, Maple Leafs. That's always makes me laugh. And the Wild and the Canucks. Talk to me. Oh, there we go. Allan, don't worry. I have one last question for you once Rich is done. But Rich, talk to me a little bit. What are we looking at for the Sunday slate?
All right, going game by game. The morning game, we have the Coyotes, facing Nashville. I guess really not on the road per se, but
yeah.
So, you look at these teams and, Arizona maybe slightly got better offensively this year. They did add Taylor Hall. As far as Nashville, they probably took a step back defensively. The goaltending just, wasn't, what it was in past years. Pecorine sort of dropped off a little bit. But, again, like Allan said, everything changes. He had some time off, everything. This is sort of game I'd look to the goalies. Maybe, grab, some shares of both. Something maybe lean. I don't know why. Good feeling almost Arizona. I just feel they tightened down. They played a pretty good defense this year. So, but it's not a game I want to go heavy on offense for per se. That second game is probably going to be pretty chalky there. Mm-hmm. We have the Boston Bruins, the big three, that top line. If you're playing Boston, they're all healthy. They're all back. And, Allan had talked about people being healthy before. Some big teams on this slate, the Bruins, the Avs, the Maple Leafs all had, pretty big injury problems, before, everything came to a halt. So, everyone's back pretty much. So we'll be seeing teams, at full strength once they're able to get their feet behind them. But Boston is in a pretty good position now. It's funny, technically a home game for Boston. Philly had those awful home road splits this year. If it was really a road game, I'd probably lean a little bit more. But it's the sort of thing, you eat pasta and cash. I think you run the full line in GPP if you want. But I think Philly played pretty well second half of the year. I don't think they're necessarily my number one target. And because that game is early, as we know in every sport, the early games always get more ownership. If people don't know hockey, I guess pasta's in. I don't have to worry about someone getting scratched later or, sort of make that mistake and fall into that trap. So they're going to get a decent amount of ownership. We'll have to see pricing. They're always super expensive too, especially on DK where, they usually don't make it for an optimal build either. Moving on from that, we have the Avs hosting St. Louis. Now, again, this is another game. If this was actually in Colorado, everything, I'd lean a little bit more. St. Louis, I don't think they're quite the team they were last year when they're on that run, win the Stanley Cup, everything. But Tarasenko is back. They've had a chance to regroup a little bit. This should be a pretty close one. I'll probably lean Avs here, but it's not an optimal spot, that's for sure. But I think they make for a fine, option at GPP, obviously. A ton of upside. I don't have to sell you on Nathan McKinnon. Probably single best player on this slate, in my opinion. But, I think they're really more of a GPP option here. And maybe get reduced ownership on them a little bit, but, I think that is fair and to be expected. Moving on, probably my favorite spot here is Toronto. And with Toronto, we always have the same problem we have with Manchester City. It's, how do we fit them all in? You really have to pick a line and go in on it. But I think you could roll out either one of the top two lines. That second line, it looks like projecting Marner and Tavares on that line. And then, we have that traditional top line that they were rolling out, most of, March, February. So, Columbus had some magical moments last year during the playoffs. I don't think, they're going to be able to capture the magic once again. This is a weaker team than last year without Breadman and certain other players who got shifted off and got hurt. It's a magical how they beat the Lightning, but, I don't think Lightning strikes twice here. And I think Toronto, which, as Allan pointed out, is one of the home teams, one of two teams that have home ice. They should be able to dominate here. I wonder, do they still play the songs?
I think they have to. I really, really hope they don't play that annoying cannon for the goal horn for Columbus. That I can't get that out of my head. It's just the most annoying thing in the world.
Yeah, I hope they do. At least it some semblance, but I figure we'll hear some whole notes, a couple times, coming up tomorrow night. And then the final game, we got Minnesota at Vancouver. This game's sort of a crapshoot. I could see either side sort of going. I could see it being sort of middling. Players to target. Kevin Fiala was an absolute beast before the break. This guy, just putting up career numbers. The Minnesota side, I think he'd be a top target for me. Obviously, I think the combo of Peterson, Bozer on the other side, obviously up and comers. But again, I think these games usually goes at lower ownership. So this is something I would just add MME exposure to. There are a lot of decent defensemen on both sides. You could do something like that, mix someone in. But for cash gain, I think Toronto, I want to get exposure to both those top lines. I do want some minor Boston exposure, just to sort of hedge there. But other than that, Philly, GPP, Colorado GPP, and most of those pick'em games, sort of just, the middle. We'll have to see pricing to see if anything pops up. You know, if someone's just an absolute bargain or something. But I just hate it how these sites do it, where they wait until that first set of games locks, and you don't get all the pricing until then. So we probably won't have until about 1 o'clock Eastern or something Saturday. I mean,
Saturday. Yeah, I mean, well, hey, that's why people should be hanging out with us over here at Win Daily Sports. Hop into the Discord chat. Rich will make sure. Allan will make sure. We got a couple new guys as well. Matt Rogers, Matt Vecchio, they're on the team. They love hockey just as much as you guys. You guys like it a little more than I do. I'll be very honest there. I do enjoy it though. I do enjoy it, and I appreciate the heck out of both of you tonight coming over, chatting a little bit about the Saturday and the Sunday slate. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really weird. I think there's going to be a lot of rust. But the one thing I think is cool is nobody's hurt, right? Like nobody should be hurt at this point. So we are getting teams full force, ready to go. Haven't been able to do anything, as you said, Allan. These dudes were legally not allowed to get onto a rink for a probably extended period of time, and I'm really hoping a few of them broke the law in that case. But it is definitely something. So, Allan, before we go, I gotta ask you: is this finally going to be the year a Canadian team wins the friggin' Stanley Cup?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I don't want to jinx it, but this will be the first year that every game in the Stanley Cup Finals is played in Canada. I think since like the 20s. But
that's a good stat. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm happy about that. I'm happy at least a Stanley Cup final game will be played in Toronto this year, or a semifinal at least.
I love it, man. And don't answer, I guess. You did a great job there. I really respect and appreciate that. But I do love it. I do appreciate it, and I am very, very excited. So thank you both so much. Allan, where can everyone find you on the internet?
You can find me at a Fabricant on Twitter. On the articles, I think I'm going to be releasing one for Saturday, so stay tuned for that.
Perfect, and I'll make sure to push that very hard. You can also obviously find Allan in the Discord chat over here at Win Daily Sports. Rich, where can everyone find you?
On Twitter at JFan3R3, and a reminder, be sure to check in Discord for our NHL content schedule, because we'll be able to put up, who's doing what article. We've Allan and Matt are handling articles for Saturday, and I'll be doing one for Sunday. So
cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited we got it all back. So thank you all very, very much. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching, and we appreciate you winning some money with us, and we hope you make it a very profitable night.